Can you run us through that final play about what was supposed to happen there?
Well, we play a quarter half system where there's calls on each side. I would have preferred that we were in a third quarter over to the field, but it still would have been a half on the backside. And it's still a depth issue, regardless if we're playing a quarter on the front side or a half on a half. So it ended up playing half, which we do play as well. So to me, it comes down to depth by both safeties. So.
Joe, you had double-digit pressures, 9 tackles for loss in that game. Where are you noticing the most growth from the defensive line?
Well, I think I got to be honest. It's a whole thing. I think, if you look at if you look at the pressures in the game, there were some straight 4-man rush pressures, but then there was also some spy pressures. There were some game pressures, and so I think it's number one, the guys are becoming better pass rushers. Number two, I think their detail with execution of scheme-related calls, they're getting way better at that stuff too. And that's a testament to them and a testament to the D-line coaches. And then also I think, a couple of them were downhill plays by, some guys at the second and third level too. So the thing that we're doing of late is we're disrupting more, takeaways more. But I don't trade those things for explosive plays. You guys know me. Like that's the number one thing. And that's what that game came down to, right? 2 explosive plays in the second half. I thought we, for the most part, handled the second half and really did a nice job. But you don't get to take those 2 plays away. So, you got to eliminate those 2 plays. So I think, obviously, we've talked about that, and it's something that we're addressing. And, as someone who's overseen some defenses that are really good, there's not just one call. There's not just, one thing. It's 100 little things that go into eliminating explosive plays. Just like there's 100 little things that go into a takeaway or 100 little things that go into getting pressure on the quarterback. If there was just one call, people would call those calls. But it's not that. There's 11 people with hundreds or thousands of different decisions, and you multiply those together, and there's like a million variables. You would probably be able to do the math better than me, but it's something along those lines. So.
Joe, when you look at Northwestern and Illinois, the last drives, what sort of similarities, or do you keep them separate?
They're separate. I mean, Northwestern was underneath zone coverage, right? There was a lot of zone. It was underneath zone coverage. It was linebackers not doing a great job in those situations. I thought our pass rush lanes were poor. So that was that problem. This pass problem was on 4th and 11, the corner slips on the break. He's probably from me to you away, and that happens. Or else he's in great position to go make a play on a ball. And then the touchdown play, we just got to play with more depth at safety. So, while they're similar because it was a 2-minute drive that went down to score, the circumstances that led to the score are different to me. So I've been seeing improvement in our underneath zone coverage, just week after week after week. I thought we spent a lot of time on it. I mentioned it last week in the bye week, and it's been getting better and better and better and better. I think our pass rush, the lanes and the distribution has been getting better and better and better, and you're seeing more sacks. So we just got to be better with our depth, and be a little bit better in our break foot, dry foot, and I think those 2 things are very correctable. So
PJ called timeout after that second play on that last drive. What was said there? What was
we just wanted to get our bearings, because they had hit a conversion, and then they had hit at that point. Time's not a factor. And when you get into that type of situation, like they were in position to attack the end zone. We'd given up 2 passes, and it was just more, hey, let's just talk and get ourselves. Plus, a couple of our rushers were kind of gassed, and we wanted to just make sure we had the guys in that were going to give us the best chance to rush the passer. So,
what were the issues on those first 2 touchdowns out of trips?
Guys, when there were mistakes, and those are my fault. So.
This year, Purdue has forced the second most missed tackles on rushing plays in the Big Ten. What have you noticed from their backs and run game?
45. I mean, he's got some loose hips now. He can make you miss in a phone booth. He's a great cutback runner. He can, decelerate and then quickly accelerate. So I would say that that's the main reason. Their backs are talented players in space. They're talented at, going one way and coming back the other. And so that's obviously you got to defend that not with one guy. You got to defend that with a front seven and a secondary, everyone doing their job, everyone being gap sound, and then playing really hard. If you're playing really hard, we talk about Howe being an eraser. If a guy misses a tackle, there's another guy to make it. When you're missing those types of tackles, those ones are okay. If you miss tackles out in space where there's no one within 15 yards, that's a problem. But usually a guy gets there for a reason before the actual missed tackle. There's, lack of execution or a mistake. So.
PJ talked about Burke being a lot similar to Isaiah and the fact that they're go-to guys. Do you see some similarities between the two?
Yeah, I mean, the speed, I think, stands out. But, I think both teams do a good job in situations where they need points or need first downs to get it to their playmakers. And so I think that's kind of a little bit, where you see it. I think it's the speed, it's the acceleration, and it's, hey, we need to play. Let's get it to our best players. And he's certainly a really good player.
Where's that game from Cody? Rank among the ones you've seen him play.
It's probably his best. He's good, man. I mean, I know that. I've known that. Everyone hasn't been able to see that as much. I think you got a chance to see it a little bit, last year. But he's even much improved from that spot. I mean, he plays Mike. He plays Will. He can cover. He can play the run game. So he's a great leader. So I thought it was really good. He's got to keep his head up a couple times, but his run fits were on. I thought his zone coverage was pretty good. Did a nice job tackling out in space. He can obviously cover ground when you get things out on the perimeter, which is very beneficial for the defense. So it was good.
How do you balance shutting down that playmaker, but also keeping the players to stay sound in their rules and they're hitting their guy?
The situation, first and second down are completely different than third down, or completely different than the last play of the game. So it all depends on the situation. I think when you talk about taking a player away, I think the more dire the situation, the more you're able to do that. The first play of the game on a P and 10. Most defensive coordinators will tell you they're not going to be, hey, we got to take this guy away per se. That same play happening, at the end of the game may be a different scenario. So I think it's just understanding the situation and then understanding, who's doing what and why. One thing that Illinois, I thought, did a really great job of all year was throwing fade balls and throwing back shoulder fades. That was something we were really concerned about. And, there weren't any of those. Because we did some things to take those away. Now you take those away, then the ball goes to other places. That's just football. They're not, teams aren't going to be, you take away something we do really well, we're not going to be able to adjust. Good player or good coaches are able to adjust, which they did. So it's always a back and forth match between what you're taking away and then what they're going to. So.
Time for two more. What stands out to you about the Purdue quarterback?
Dangerous, especially when extending the play. Now, he's got great elusiveness. I think he's got a good feel for pressure in the pocket. If his first read isn't there and then he kind of gets moving, he's going to extend the play, and he can hit some shots down the field. So that's something that all three levels need to be tied into. The defensive line's got to be tied into keeping the pocket, the integrity. But the underneath coverage needs to understand when that thing goes, what type of routes are they converting to? The secondary needs to know when this thing gets out of the pocket, how is the play extended? What are the scramble rules? So all three groups need to be really in tune to it. Plus, I think he's a very good runner when he chooses to run. When he does scramble and pull it down, he's gotten some big first downs for him, extended some drives. So I've been impressed. outstanding. Like, I mean, we got great kids and we got a great culture that coach sets. So they've practiced their butt off. That's why I like coaching these guys so much. You know, I've seen a lot over the years, and you know, we're very fortunate to have the players that we have in terms of their character and the type of people that they are. You know, you get around a group that's selfish or in it for their own reasons or just worried about themselves. Those are the groups that are hard to get back. You know, but our kids are awesome. They come back ready to work, and they're fun and they're a joy to coach. And you know, I that's why I really like coaching those guys. So I got a hell of a amount of respect for them, and they've worked their butts off, and they you know, they've gotten better the last two, and we got a couple more we got to get, and then go out and compete. So.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
What's the best frozen pizza in the world? Ethan's been 22 of 29 in the first half the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
And then he's 3 of 15. What has been such a stark contrast between him getting in rhythm early and then a total of 3 second half passes completed the last 2 weeks?
I think a combination of teams playing us a little bit differently in the second half. Both games were, the last two, I think teams adjusted just a little bit, and we in the second half of the Illinois game, we struggled with running the ball a little bit in the second half, and then they were giving us a little bit, they were giving us some different pictures and things like that, and they were giving us great looks to be able to run the football too. And we have to execute in that aspect of the game. I think the one thing is, we've been able. The biggest difference in the first half is we were able to stay on schedule. Been saying it all year. Is we look the best when we're on schedule in early downs. And he was in a great rhythm. The first two drives was really the whole first half of last week. He was in a great rhythm the whole time, seeing everything clearly. And it wasn't that he wasn't seeing it well. It was just they did a great job defensively of adjusting and adjusting to him, number one, and adjusting to our offense.
How pleased were you with the way you were able to get matchups and leverage with formation and motion, especially in the first half?
It was good. The first, I think it was the second, third down of the game on Brev's touchdown. We did a really good job of formationing that and then using the motion. And then the things that we always preach to our guys is putting our guys in positions to succeed. Maybe the defense screws up or we're able to make a play. That was the whole goal with that. And I think that's the goal too with the amount of movement that we're using on all downs, is whether we're gathering information or it's putting stress on the defense, whatever that may be. I think our guys have handled that. We were talking about that as a staff the other day of thinking back to the spring. We couldn't get lined up. And now you see us, as we go throughout the year, you see us, we're shift and a motion on play, multiple motions on plays. And I think that's been a good thing just from our guys developing and understanding the system. And it's beginning to click, and it's continuing to click, and I think that's the most encouraging thing. And I actually had that conversation with Ethan yesterday, just him being able to manage the whole workload, managing the offense, executing a lot of different things. It's good to see.
Purdue has a couple pass rushers lead the day.
Yeah, very good.
What do you do to neutralize them?
They on third down, you got to know where they both are. They're elite. Two of the best pass rushers we've seen. We've seen a lot of good ones. They're very good. They do a lot of good things of attacking half the man with whether they're lined up inside over our guards or they're lining up over the tackles. They do a lot of different pass rush moves, spin moves, fake spins. They do a lot of different things, and I think their scheme plays into that too. They do a good job in the back end, play a ton of man coverage. Their DBs are very good, and they're able to hold up, and that allows, number one, it allows them to not have stress in the back end because their front can get home. Both of those guys, both the ends are going to play in the National Football League. They're both exceptional pass rushers. They're exceptional against the run. They play within the scheme very well. Coach Walters installed that defense over there, and it's a tough defense to go against. And we saw it last year at Illinois, and then we saw it last week. Very similar system, and we're going to have to be very, very detailed up front and execute against those guys in order to have success.
When you were rewatching the tape with Ethan, what was the message to him on that second down pull and then that third down pop pass?
Well, you don't ever see the third down pop pass if he executes the second down play the way we talk about. And I took that probably harder than him, just because I want to continue to emphasize those details of just that particular play. The average person doesn't see that. They don't understand that. They don't understand him cutting outside there is such a critical play. He punctures that ball and gets the first down, the game's over potentially. And that's been the biggest thing I think with me. I think back to Northwestern, one particular call. I think of that play and how different things could be. And it's just a big growth moment. I took ownership of it because it's one more thing that I got to continue to emphasize with him, and he's continuing to learn. He took it. You should see him. Like if I were to say that earlier in the year to him, he would have been down for a little bit, like just kind of sad. Now he just took it. He understood it and grew from it, and now we've learned from it. And but like I said, and I had a great conversation with Coach Fleck about it. Of execute on that situation, you don't see the next play. Same thing with anything, whether it's special teams or defense too. If you execute on that particular play, you don't see the next play. And that was the big message. The dump, that pop pass was a critical play in the game. It was 3rd and 4, and I felt like it was executed well all the way up until the throw. And as soon as he let the ball go, he knew it. And so it was good execution by Nick. It was good execution up front. It was good execution in the back end with the running back and the quarterback. It's just being able to connect and being able to execute under the pressure of the situation. That's another great learning moment. He had 2 straight plays where he learned huge situational football things, and I thought it was very good for him moving forward. Obviously, in that situation, we want to execute better and come out with the win.
Talk about Ethan being able to be receptive to coaching.
Yeah.
He was up here talking about those 2 plays.
Right.
And saying how it still bothers him.
Mhm.
How have you seen him kind of internalize the
He's becoming he's playing the quarterback position. That's the best way that I think I can describe him now, as he was just a quarterback early in the year. Now he's playing the position. He's handling the situations. He's handling the day-to-day, the preparation. We've talked about a ton of this week of how do you continue, how do you handle your process? How do you continue to change your process so your process gets better so you can achieve your goal? And that's where he's changed so much, learning, taking the criticism, taking the coaching. He's become so much more. He was always coachable. I want to make sure that's clear. But he was always if he makes a mistake, he knows I can get on him. He knows if he does something well, I can praise him, and he's not going to let that get to his head. Like he's the same guy every single day now. And the leadership is coming. The respect from all of his teammates is coming, where you have to earn that, and you have to earn that by how you play, and nothing's given. Everything's earned, and just because he had a good first half last week and the second half wasn't where we wanted, like that's where he has to grow. That's where he has to learn. And we watched that second half of that Illinois game multiple times, and that's where he's got to continue to grow. I couldn't be more proud of just the development he's had, because he could have easily said it multiple times during the season where, man, I'm just not getting any better, and just kind of folded. And he hasn't done that, and he's continued to get better. And I think people are seeing that, and I think he's seeing it too, which is the most important thing.
Time for 1 or 2 more. We've seen Brevin now in open space, being able to get it done, and also the contested catches. How big of a force can he be in the last quarter of the season?
I think you're seeing it. He's done what he's had to do. We talk about Ethan's process. He's changed his process each week. That's the biggest thing. I can't say enough about just how he's practiced since the bye week. I told him on the field that during the bye week, I said one of my goals as a coach this last 6 games is to get you going. And I owe it to you as a guy that coached him last year, and then obviously be in charge of the offense. Like, I want to get him going, and I want to make sure he has an impact, number one, for him as an individual, but it also makes us better as a team. And it was good to see him make that catch on the 3rd down and then turn it into a big play. The best part about that play was the last 4 yards. We were on him. Louisiana, he caught a ball in the flat and kind of tried to make the guy miss. It's not really his game. He knows that. His game, you've been pretty well documented. He likes to jump over people. He likes to run through people, those types of things. And he got the ball on the 4-yard line, and he said, I'm getting in the end zone. And he got in, whereas maybe a few weeks back, he wouldn't have got in the end zone. So that was the coolest part about that. The drag he caught over the I think it was on Illinois' sideline when the ball was a little high. He was able to go up and catch it violently and then come down and then be able to get about another 10 to 12 yards. So he's getting better. He's growing. Just because, his career here is coming to a close doesn't mean that he hasn't changed, how he's getting ready for games and how he's continuing to play, because he knows he still has a huge future in football.
And then going back all the way to when we had that one open practice before the season, practicing the over-the-shoulder throws, maybe it wasn't up to the par and you got on him and had him redo it. And then you see it come to fruition with that throw to DJ.
Yeah.
How big was that?
I mean, the best thing about that play, and there's a lot of good things from the game, and there's a lot of good things I can think of, but other than us not winning the game, that was the most frustrating part of it. But we talked about that all week, and that particular play, Ethan and I had a discussion about situational football, where that play was going to be called in that situation on that down, and we knew why, and he recognized based off of how the safety ended up playing it. The safety had multiple different ways that he was reacting to coverage, and he recognized it. And because if you watch the play again, you see Chris open, and he didn't take Chris because he recognized what the safety was doing, and he took the shot. And it was well executed between him and Daniel. It was great protection. It was pretty cool to see Ethan be able to do that, whereas, again, early in the year, he maybe would have missed that. And, they're all growing. They're all getting better, and that's been the huge thing of, trusting the process, continuing to make sure that we earn that process and earn the result that we're getting through the work we're putting in every week.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Good. Thanks, guys.